Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another landscape photography post-production tutorial with me, Alex Hare. What I want to show you today is how to speed up your workflow. I want to show you how to apply contrast to your pictures, and I want to show you how to write an action which will allow you to, within one or two clicks, apply that adjustment without making all the fine-tuning adjustments every single time. Now, if we look at what the actions palette looks like, it's this one over here. And if you can't see it in Photoshop, then come up here to Window and click on Actions. And if you once you get a tick next to it, the palette will appear, and you can, wherever it appears in Photoshop, you can move it around and put it wherever you like. And inside your Actions palette, you'll have a couple of folders. You'll probably have one called Defaults, and I've got one called Al's Actions. But you can create a new folder by clicking on this new set box here, and you rename it. Let's call you, whoever you might be, Bob's Actions, and then we'll click OK. And now we've got actions in here. And if we want to create a new action within that set, then we click on this one here. This one here, I beg your pardon, create new action. And we'll call this test action. We won't do it for now because we're going to do it for real in a second. We click record, and then we start recording our action. And then within that folder of actions that you've given your name to will be all your individual actions. So I'll delete that because I don't need another folder. I've got mine here called Al's Actions, and inside I've got all my actions here. But we'll see how we create new ones in a second. Now, first of all, let's look at the adjustment. And before we look at how we write it into an action, this is a file that's quite lacking in contrast. It's come through my raw processor into Photoshop, and now I need to start building up my adjustment layers. And the first thing that is screaming at me to be done is to give it some contrast. And so here is a curve adjustment. This is what the curve adjustment looks like. It's called an S-curve. So it's slightly rounded here, slightly higher, and it's slightly lower here. And this gives it a nice kick in contrast. Remember, if the contrast is too strong, we can control it through opacity here to make it stronger or weaker. And this is fine. This isn't too difficult to do. If I show you how it's done, we come down here to our flyout box for adjustments, and we click on curves. And then we grab the point here where it intersects in this top box, we lift it up a little bit, and where the intersection is down here, we drag it down a little bit. And this is a very tiny adjustment, very subtle, but if we go back to the picture, you can see it has quite a profound effect on a photograph. And it's quite a good adjustment to apply to almost every raw file. They all need a bit of adjustment to contrast and saturation, generally speaking. Now, you might be thinking that's not a difficult adjustment to make, but I think after you do this 4 or 5 times, it gets a bit tedious. And if you were working on hundreds of pictures a day, having to make that basic adjustment every single time would be a bit irritating, and it'd be much more handy if we could just have that basic setting, that basic curve applied within 1 or 2 clicks, which is where the actions come in, because the actions allow us to select an action that we like. And if I pick my one called contrast curve and press play, you can see it's there. If I turn off the one underneath, you can see I've achieved the same thing. The curve has been deployed. It's a little bit higher here, it's a little bit lower there, and it's sitting there above the picture. So I'm going to show you now how to write your own action for this. So what we need to do is create a new action. So we click on this box, and we're going to call it contrast S-curve, or contrast curve, whatever you wish to call yours. And then we'll click on record. Now, it's important, every single click that you make after you've clicked record is going to be recorded by Photoshop. It doesn't get slow. It's just that you don't want to start going off and doing other things, so it's important to just do the things that you need to do. And when we finish, we're going to click on the black box to stop the recording. So the first thing to do is to, with a photograph open, doesn't matter which photograph, it's not going to reproduce the photograph that you're recording it on in future pictures. It's only going to record the action itself. So first of all, we go to the little adjustments flyout box and click on curves. And then where the intersection is here, lift it up a little bit, and where the intersection is down here, drop it down a little bit. And then we're going to click on, well, I tell you what, let's, for to be belt and braces. Let's rename it contrast S curve. Now that'll tally with the name in our actions box. Press enter and then stop. So now you can see we've got this new action in here in my list, and it'll be in your list too. And the little arrow there maximizes or minimizes. If you open it up, you can see all the different steps we've made, but we don't really need to see them. What we want to see is just that. So let's see if it works. Let's delete that. So here we are with our picture, and we think, right, we want some contrast. So we'll go to our list and find the action we want, which is contrast S-curve, and we'll click play. And there it is, on top there. There it is, a nice bump in contrast, which we can adjust the opacity of to suit the picture in question. If you don't like the order that your actions are in, you can click and drag it. So you can put them in alphabetically, or you could number them so they're numerical. You could do whatever you like, but you're not stuck with having it at the bottom. But the bottom is where every new action will appear until you move it somewhere else. Maybe we'll put it there, maybe we'll put it back, I don't know. Now I've already got that, so I'm going to delete mine, and there's the delete box. Okay, but I'd recommend you keep yours in your folder, and you can click on it whenever you like to create a nice kick in contrast. Now, there'll be a separate video covering how to write an action for the digital saturation adjustment that I've shown in a previous video, and it's the same principle, but if you're unsure, then you're welcome to check out that video as well, which will be with all my other videos on my YouTube channel and on Facebook. So until next time, I hope you enjoy adding contrast in a much more quick and efficient way through the use of actions.